once and for all who talks the talk and walks the walk. Barkley versus Toney for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship. And we are back live in the pavilion indoors at Caesar's Palace and getting ready for the Super Middleweight Championship bout. 68-pound weight limit. Only Barkley's title on the line. Toney, the middleweight champ, gets to keep his title, win or lose. Once again, we bring you back to ringside with George Foreman. George, all the bad blood that people talk about, and both fighters make no secret of the fact that they want to be seen as hating their opponent in this fight. Can you ever remember a moment in your career when you had a blood feud, you went into the ring really hating somebody?
Well, maybe more than once, but one in particular, Joe Frazier. He was telling me, I'm tired of you, kid, trying to be tough. And I walked up into him and told him, shut up. I couldn't believe it. I talked back to Joe Frazier. But it made me feel like I could stand up to Joe Frazier, too. So sometimes for the young fella, it's good to bluff and tough, but you can't see why Barkley, the veteran, would even partake in that. It just doesn't make sense.
Why? Why would Barkley, at this stage of his career, be playing that game?
Yeah, when a veteran do that, sometimes it's like whistling through the graveyard. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. See this? So sometimes they're not really bragging. They're actually afraid, so they're trying to make themselves look tough, but actually they're a little fearful. So when I see a veteran pouting off, telling a young kid what he's going to do to him, it's like he doesn't quite believe in himself.
Does that mean that you lean toward Toney in the fight?
No, it doesn't mean that at all. I see this as one great middleweight. They're equally matched. From time to time, you see one offset the other with the other's plus, minuses. It's going to be a great fight. Toney can do it. Barkley can do it.
Yep, Toney's a terrific boxer. Barkley is a mean-spirited brawler who brings everything for every round. Toney's been criticized for not fighting the full 3 minutes of every round. It's one of those matches you could talk about all night. You could talk about Iran Barkley for a long time. He's been written off twice, and he's still around.
Hey, boxing is about you fight everybody. If you claim you the best, you gotta fight the best. You know what I'm saying? You don't duck and you don't pick and you don't choose. Hey, you get your butt kicked, you get your butt kicked.
The name of the projects I grew up in is Patterson Projects, and is located on 142nd Street, 3rd Avenue in the Bronx. If you went on Willis and Brook Avenue, where the Bachelors and the Savage Skulls and all of them hung out at, you was in danger zone. If you got caught out there, you was gone. This is my brother Frankie. He was 33 years old. He died of cancer. And this is my brother Alfred. He was 35 and he died of cancer. So these two guys was my mentor. And my sister, these two guys passed away. My sister and me, these are all my strength right here. And this is the reason why I won't be defeated for nobody. This is Victory Baptist Church that I attend to on Sundays, services, you know, to keep my mind and my together and, you know, keep peace and harmony with me. Well, see, God is using me, and it's not for them to say, hey, he's not that much holy than I am, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't know how my soul is being used.
Oh, yeah, listen to this. If I walk the way that he wants me to walk, he'll show up in me, he'll show up.
Everywhere I go, he goes.
Even in the ring?
Even in the ring. Even in the ring.
Even in the ring?
Even in the ring. I don't like him. I don't like him. I ain't gonna like him until I break his neck.
Even though I got my spiritual here, my other side comes out. I want James Toney to know I send that message because I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you.
It should be Toney versus Barkley because I'm the champ. You know, he don't have the title. He's coming up to fight me for my title. That's why it should be that way.
I worked extra hard for this one, though, because this is somebody that I want to finish. I don't even want to hear about James Toney. I do this. But all the things that my mother have been praying for for me and my brothers and all of us. And God kept his hands on me. And I weathered the storm. God forbid if I ever pass away, you know, I want to be remembered, you know, hey, this guy was a great guy. You know what I'm saying? This guy was a true champion. You know, you'll never find another guy like Iran Barkley.
Yeah.
If you're a real boxing fan, you've come to the right place. Ringside at the indoor pavilion at Caesar's Palace for the battle between Iran Barkley and James Toney, a couple of guys who love to mix it up. This should be a fight with tremendous entertainment value. For more, let's go back to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant.
A pretty fair middleweight named Sugar Ray Robinson once said, "I'm in a hurtin' business." So here we are in a fight that figures to be a hurtin' fight. Although it makes us warm and fuzzy to know Iran Barkley does have a spiritual side, and that James Toney has just had a brand new baby daughter. What they're here for as middleweights, and what we're here for, is the promise that they will do business tonight fiercely. And that expectation has brought to mind, at least my twisted mind, a fight that used to be told about in story and song. The original Dempsey, not the heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey, back in the 19th century was a recognized middleweight champion, and he once fought a challenger named Johnny Regan on a beach in Long Island. And Regan came to their fight wearing shoes with spikes on them and proceeded to slash Dempsey's legs repeatedly during the fight. And then the tide rolled in over their ankles, so they all had to get into boats and go find a dry place to continue the fight. And in the 5th round, finally, the champion, Dempsey, did prevail. Our middleweights tonight only have 12 rounds to go to the finish, and that's about all they really need. Here's one of them, James Toney.
Is James Toney geared up for Iran Barkley? All I can say is, if you've seen him in the gym and you've watched him prepare, he is the most ready he's ever been. He's going to knock this boy out.
Well, if James Lights Out Toney does knock out Iran Barkley, he not only becomes the new IBF super middleweight champion, he may also silence critics who have begun to question his power.
Lackadaisical, not in control. No, I be reading all that. The reason why I do that is because I don't kiss their ass. They do what they want. They don't. Still undefeated, 34-2.
Toney's shocking upset of Michael Nunn not only made him IBF middleweight champ, but won him accolades as the fighter of the year. But several of his fights since then have won him only criticism. Wanting to prove himself a worthy champion, James was prepared to fight the toughest challenges. Against #1 contender Reggie Johnson, Toney was down for the first time in his career, but squeaked back to win a split decision. Then James Toney was pitted against a tough but aging Mike McCallum. Their first meeting, a battle, earned Toney a controversial draw. Their rematch, a victory for James, left fans still unimpressed. His squaring off against Dave Tiberi produced his most controversial fight to date, while his bout with Glenn Wolfe again left the public wondering. There's no doubt about James Toney's potential, but in the eyes of the skeptics, 1992 was not a convincing year.
Obviously, fans are looking for one thing, and he may be giving something else. But as long as he's comfortable with his performances and he continues winning, I don't think that he can fight for the critics. He has to fight for himself and get in the ring to win. I think that the knockouts will come now that he's in a comfortable weight.
Some believe Toney's frequent fight schedule was too draining for him. That, coupled with the task of meeting the 160-pound weight limit, probably his biggest battle to date, may well have worn down a once impressive fighter.
I was having trouble making the weight. You know, I was telling everybody, I said, telling Jackie, and I can't make the weight. It's hard. You know, and she was like, you can make it, you can do this, blase, blase. If I just said, the hell with it, I'm not fighting 160 no more. I don't care what nobody's saying.
James hopes moving up to 168 will give him the power he has lacked. Power he'll surely need to take on a tough brawler like Iran Barkley.
Well, he's going to have some problems. I think he has the ability to deal with these problems. It would take a fighter like Barkley to bring the best out of James.
It's like this. Iron Barkley tailor-made for me. He's going to be there. He's going to try to throw punches. He's going to try to take my head off. I'm going to take his off.
He wants to prove the point that he can beat Barkley.
A streetwise kid, known for his uncontrollable temper outside the ring, James Toney is under a certain pressure to prove to himself and to his critics that he can stay focused and win big inside the ring as well.
James only gets out of control normally when he's in training for a fight. After a fight, he's just cuddly and adorable and great fun. But I think when he's training and focusing, he puts his energies into that. And he has very little temper for anything else, so anything will tick him off.
In addition to the pressures he already feels, there is also the pressure of knowing he's about to become a father. And although it's rare when you see a moody James Toney smile, this also offers another ongoing distraction.
You know, I'm real excited, brother. You know, I think I rub the belly every night. Come on out of there, hurry up. Just so I can see you and just go about my business.
Getting back to the business at hand is exactly what Toney expects to do. Fighting his toughest opponent to date, moving up in weight class, James Toney becomes the challenger and will be judged closely off this fight. This time, the public expects to find out just how much heart James Toney really has. And just to update that narrative, Toney's daughter, Nicole, his first child, was born 1 week ago tonight at 6:02 p.m. Michigan time. So now, for the first time since he beat Michael Nunn to take the middleweight title, James Toney, as the challenger, enters the ring first.
And that graphic, eight championship fights in 21 months, is amazing. You have to go back more than 50 years to find champions who were more active. George, your feeling about whether that's good for a young champion or not good for a young champion?
I think it's very good, because what happens to young fighters, they get out there and sometimes forget where they are. You get them in the ring all the time. They never lose concentration. They're not afraid of the 12 rounds, and they stay out of trouble.
Toney and his manager, Jackie, are the subject of a made-for-television movie, The Lady and the Champ, presently being developed and produced by TriStar Television in Hollywood.
The one knock on Toney, and there you see he is undefeated with 2 draws, is people say he doesn't fight, not often enough, but more in the fights, that he's a 1-minute fighting 1 minute every round. And some people suspect that all the great things he's done in the ring were that one punch that knocked out Michael Nunn. That's awfully harsh criticism on a kid who keeps winning.
But he's generated a lot of that harsh criticism by failing to win decisively. Close shaves, the story of James Toney's championship fights. The win over McCallum was a majority decision. One of the 3 judges called it a draw. Many it should have been scored more closely. The Tiberi win was a disputed split decision that occasioned a Senate subcommittee investigation of boxing. In the draw with McCallum, he had to win the last 2 rounds on 2 judges' cards to pull that one out. In the win against Johnson, he was knocked down for the first time in his career, and Johnson's people hotly disputed the split decision. And in the win against Nunn, he knocked Nunn out in the 11th, while behind on all 3 scorecards after 10.
Be one of those fighters who fights to the level of his competition.
Well, we'll find out tonight, because the level of his opposition tonight is a guy who usually rises to the occasion in big fights. Iran Barkley, trained by the man you see there, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, has had some low moments in his boxing career, but in fights like this, when he's been showcased against the Thomas Hearnses, against Roberto Duran, even though he lost fight, he fought a great and spirited battle when he had a chance to win a title back against Darren Van Horn. On those occasions, he's come up big, and a lot of people suspect that mentally, Barkley will be focused again tonight.
There's a very odd situation here tonight, Jim, regarding the odds. Toney opened as a slight favorite, went up to almost 3-1, indicating a lot of support. Now the odds are going back. What's odd about this is I can't find anybody among the so-called experts who is picking Toney. They're all picking Barkley.
The Bronx Blade, Barkley, has his supporters among boxing writers and broadcasters because so many times we have seen him come up big at the big moment. However, George Foreman, he supposedly had tremendous difficulty making weight here, was well over the weight limit yesterday morning, had to spend time in the gym and running, according to some stories. We don't know that for sure, and that could damage him tonight if that's the case.
That's right. He could be weak mentally and physically, thinking he better get an early knockout and get exploited by Toney because of it.
Clever's the right word. Toney has the boxing skills to do that. There's the record for Iran Barkley: 30 wins, 7 losses, 18 knockouts over the course of the past 7 or 8 years. Most of his fights have been against relatively big names for big circumstances, and there is some bad blood being exhibited already in the ring where the Barkley and Toney people came together before the opener productions. All right, let's take a look at the tail of the tape real fast. Oh, first we'll take a look at tail of the tape. Iran Barkley against James Toney. And keep in mind, as you look at these numbers, the rumors, and I characterize them as rumors, that Barkley had a great deal of difficulty making weight. He showed up late for the weigh-in, said that his apartment here in Las Vegas had been broken. Got a 3-inch height advantage, but again, Toney stands up relatively straight in the ring. Barkley is the one who crouches.
A point has to be made about the weight. Toney is a big middleweight. Barkley is really a light heavyweight. He is very, very strong at this weight.
Punch stat numbers, Larry.
And here a look at some of the punch stat numbers to get an idea of how active these fighters are, and you can see what Barkley's fight plan is. To come out throwing a lot of never stop. And the jab is primarily an afterthought, but both of them can jab effectively when they're moved to.
Rules of the bout with Harold Letterman. Harold?
Iran Barkley and James Toney will fight tonight using the rules of the International Boxing Federation. 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. You cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight. And in case of an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 6 rounds have been completed. For that, it's a technical draw. Jim.
All right, Harold, right now let's go up to our ring announcer, Michael Buff, for a pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, in association with the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, presents the featured bout of the evening. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the International Boxing Federation. The officials for the state of Nevada: Dr. Elias Ghanem. Commissioners: Nat Carasali, Bruce Lane, Luther Mack, and Dr. James Nave. Chief Inspector Mark Ratner. IBF Supervisor at ringside, Al Goodman. Physicians in attendance: Dr. Flip Homansky, Dr. James Wishgame, and Dr. Robert Boy. The timekeeper, Al Bisick. Counting for the knockdown seconds, Jane Broadfoot. The 3 judges at ringside, scoring the bout on a 10-point must system, will be Chuck Giampa, Jerry Roth, and Mike Liana. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, working in a world championship bout for the 98th time, referee Richard Steele. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the site where legends are made, Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with gold trim, in at an even 167 pounds. Fighting out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, he brings a professional record, undefeated, 33-0, 2 draws, 22 by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the challenger, the IBF Middleweight Champion of the World, James Lights Out Toney. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with red trim and weighing an even 168 pounds. His professional record: 30 victories, 18 KOs, 7 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, from the streets of the South Bronx in New York City, presenting a 3-time world champion and current IBF Super Middleweight Champion of the World,
Yeah, I spoke to both of you in the dressing room. I'm cautioning you now, obey my commands at all times. Shake hands and good luck.
Jim, I see this fight as an athlete, Toney, who was a high school quarterback, against a warrior, Barkley, in what may just turn out to be a warrior's game. We'll see whether Toney can maintain his poise in the face of what is expected to be fierce pass rush.
I think the most important man tonight is Richard Steele. They couldn't have picked a stronger referee.
You like Richard Steele?
For this fight, take somebody strong and willing.
Barkley comes out with an apparent urge to overwhelm Toney from the beginning, and Toney catches him inside with counter lefts and rights. Barkley trying to go to the body, Toney coming right up the middle, and James Toney is giving better than he's getting.
Toney is getting in good uppercuts right now, left uppercuts. But he shouldn't throw too many of them the first round.
Well, already you've seen Toney's superior technicianship. Iran came in winging wide, as he loves to do. He stepped right up the middle to take advantage.
Toney should keep this as skillful as he can. Barkley is not a skillful fighter, he's a puncher. Why wait in and play that game?
Yeah, but now we're into stage 2. Toney, who's often accused of not fighting the full minutes, of the full 3 minutes of every round, begins to stand against the ropes and allow Barkley to wail away at it.
And Barkley is being caught with some effective shots that in the body that could have some telling points as the fight goes along.
Barkley will keep going to the body. He's not the kind of guy who forgets to do it. Toney scores with an uppercut inside. But the longer James stands still on the ropes, the more he plays Barkley's game.
I think if he stands on the rope and not try to push him, he can be a lot more effective than trying to push him out. Just hit him because he's not quick, he's only powerful. Good body punch, a good left hook to the side, and Barkley is starting to show a little blood.
That's right, there's blood under Iran's left eye. Barkley has a history as a bleeder, and right now, Toney is whacking away with tremendous effect in the middle of the ring. And Toney just walks away and rests for a second, and Iran Barkley comes storming back at it.
He walked away because he said earlier, you're going to see some blood quick. He has seen blood, now he's happy.
Couldn't ask for a more entertaining first 2 minutes of the fight. It was everything the experts expected it to be.
For the first time in Toney's career, about fighting only a few minutes every round should be right this time. He shouldn't exalt himself.
Toney looks very relaxed and very confident early on in his first bout against a really high-skilled, accomplished 168-pound fighter. There's a good right uppercut inside that brings the crowd alive.
Barkley has been hit before by some of the best punchers in the world. He's gotten up, so you don't get carried away. Once you hit him, you just keep it set up in that fashion.
Iran Barkley's the only man on the planet who has beaten Tommy Hearns twice. Nobody else can claim that.
Barkley is going to the wrong corner.
All right, he's a sucker for the uppercut. The uppercuts that you're hitting him with, keep hitting him with him, and come back with that left hook. What we gotta do is pump the jab. And what's the overhand, the head crack? You see you hit it with the head crack? Right. Okay, that's all he's gonna do. He's standing right up. That's all. He's standing right up, that's all. Over with the head crack, what you got? But what he's gonna get, you gotta pump that stiff jab, like I said with the crack. All right, that's all. That's all you gotta do. Right over here. That's all you gotta do, baby. Just keep that jab pumping out. If he stands up, when he stands up, pump. Go first, dog. There we go, baby. Pump the jab, that's all I need, all right? That's gonna work.
What Toney must do in this fight is early on to put a lot of hurt on Barkley, because if Barkley is still there in this of the fight, he's going to come on with his strength.
He said earlier he was going to hit this guy in the side, and Barkley is starting to land punches around the side. But it seems that Toney's left jab is the best thing he's got tonight.
Well, you already saw the punch stat numbers that indicated a great first round for James Toney. And beyond those numbers, he doubled Barkley in power shot, 23-17.
I think Toney is going to have to settle in and realize I can outbox this guy. It's real easy. Jab him and stop worrying about taking him out. If he makes that decision, it can be an easier fight for him. But if he doesn't, he's going to get rocked and rolled tonight.
And incidentally, the blood was from Barkley's nose, not from above his eye.
And I don't think Toney liked that. Got a little overconfident because he thought the blood was coming up.
Good chopping left-hand counter inside by Toney. He has great counter-punching ability, and against a guy like Barkley, that will afford him a lot of opportunities. Oh, right hand on the shoulder of Toney seemed to stun him for a second. Both fighters landing to the body.
Come on, work it, get out, work it.
It's going to take 2 or 3 rounds before Toney realizes I'd better respect this big man's power.
Barkley just missing with the right cross. It skimmed across the side of Toney's head.
When you're 160 pounds, those right hands that you turn don't hurt that much. When you're 68, those right hands numb your legs.
Good uppercut inside by Toney. You heard Bill Miller, Toney's trainer, telling him that Barkley was a sucker for an uppercut, and Toney lands another one in there.
Punch it, get out.
But those uppercuts got to be followed by something around the side, some body punches, chest and to the side, because this guy's regularly about 200 pounds. He's accustomed to getting big shots like that
Punch it, get out.
from bigger guys.
Come back.
Toney landing with the jab. Barkley just steps past it to come inside. Toney's quicker hands still a factor, particularly every time they step away from the ropes and into the middle of the ring. Barkley landing a left hook to the top of Toney's head.
Toney is really getting good with his left jab at this point. He's standing right on the ball of his feet, jabbing and not jumping backwards. When you see a fighter do that, that means he's confident.
Right.
Toney fighting a masterful fight at close quarters, keeping his poise, picking his shots.
Hey, baby, just know what we can do. We continue to do this here. If we can do this for about 5 or 6 rounds, we can bust this guy up. All right? How you feel, baby? Feel like a fucking champ. All right.
Not blood.
Hit him with a muscle. That's what we gotta have.
Right.
Hit him in the muscle. Your left hand is down already.
Right.
Hit him in the muscle. Your left hand is down already. All right. Let's keep on doing the same thing. Keep doing the same thing, champ. That's all. Okay. That's all. But I need more of that jab.
There's a Barkley punch, but it did not land flush. James Toney is very, very difficult to hit on the head. People have said he has a small head, and he rolls his shoulders away from punches very cleverly, George.
Move your hand. Move your hand. All right? Move your hand. That's sticking.
That was an odd punch we saw in the replay. At best, it appeared to hit Toney on the shoulder, but it also appeared to stun him for a second. And Barkley, George, is a guy who wants to hit you anywhere he can make contact.
Right. Now, Toney has sold all the whoop tickets about how he's going to knock him out. Now he should be contented with just winning every round. Let the knockout come by itself. Don't try to create it. Barkley should try and make this fight as wild as he can and stop standing back with his left jab. Just get in there and wade in there.
It was the left shoulder where Toney was hit, but he's using the left hand liberally. So it does not appear that there was any injury which should affect him in the bout. Toney again scoring a right uppercut inside. Barkley continues to bang away to the liver and kidneys, trying to slow Toney down to create some opportunities later on in the fight.
I think Barkley coming in with his mean demeanor and how tough he is. Now he should settle down, but he's going to think the crowd is going to say, you can't do it, you're scared. So he puts himself in a corner that he shouldn't be in at this point. With his longer reach, he should have been ahead on point.
Another uppercut lands inside. Most effective punch of the bout for Toney by a wide margin. Toney walking away. Barkley steps in and whacks with the left hook.
No holding.
And we've got a fairly steady flow of blood now coming out of both of Iran Barkley's nostrils.
Come on, let's work.
Toney is not content because he wanted him to be busted in the eyes at this point. Good right hand by Barkley.
Good left hook inside by Toney. Right by Toney. Right hand by Barkley. They are trading shots.
Those exchanges do not help Toney.
There's a solid right cross by Toney, but it didn't seem to stun Iran Barkley. And one thing we know about Barkley, he can take a punch.
Very smart. Toney landed his shots and moved out of the way.
And the mouthpiece is knocked completely out of bounds by the fabulous right cross from Toney. And here comes Iran stepping in without his mouthpiece, showing his courage and his resiliency.
Toney is starting to get real accurate. He's throwing that right hand right down like threading a needle.
Go to corner. Go. Stay.
And now Richard Steele will give Barkley a chance to replace the mouthpiece.
Let's go. Let's go.
Iran Barkley does take a punch, as you say, Jim, but it's not a virtue to take many hard, clean punches.
And you know something? Iran Barkley's eyesight is real bad at this point. He doesn't even know where Toney is unless he's bumping bodies with him.
And let's remember, he once had a detached retina in his left eye.
He's had 2 detached retina surgeries in the left eye. There's a solid left hook by Toney. Barkley comes back with a left to the body.
If
More Barkley stuff to the body. I'm sorry, George.
If Toney would only back away, he can see that this see him.
You know, Larry, you talk about the vision thing, and Barkley went to the wrong corner at the end of round 1. They're both trimmed in black and red all the way down.
All right. Okay. Hands up.
Okay, let's look at that clean right hand, and there you saw the mouthpiece flying outside of the ring. Once more, with feeling. Measuring his opponent, very cool inside, very impressive, Toney. He is fighting up and surpassing the level of his opponent so far.
You know, you only got a minute to rest. Why would they stuff his nose with all that stuff? Can he take a second win? Can he rest him? That's not a smart idea.
Well, they must be worried about the blood flow. Maybe that nose is broken, George, and that's why it's bleeding so profusely.
You work with Q-tips, even a bigger Q-tips, but you don't stick that much stuff up when a guy's supposed to be resting in the corner.
Good point. Another right cross after a right uppercut. Toney with target practice now inside against Barkley's head. Look at the fast hand. This is brilliant stuff from James Toney.
If Toney would step around to the other side of the ring, he can see the vision problem that Barkley is having and wouldn't let him get close, because he's got to get close to feel where he is. He's punching by feel now. He just doesn't see what he's. Low blow, Toney.
Well, this has been Iran's method for years. Lean in, shoulder the opponent, get your body on him, and then pound away at close quarters.
And he's thrown a lot of punches to Toney's hip. The belt in that fashion. This is not what Toney needs to be taking at this point.
Chopping right hand by Barkley missed. Toney spins away and shows off his hand speed and combinations again. James Toney piling up points early against Iran Barkley.
Barkley has been in this amount of trouble before, so you just can't just get overconfident with him. He can still land that telling blow, have you on the floor.
Yeah, when he knocked out Tommy Hearns several years back, it was a fight in which he had been thoroughly dominated all along and was bleeding badly. But he can launch one.
Now Toney is starting to land shots to the side now. That's going to help this young fighter as a
taking a page out of Barkley's book. saying to himself, well, if we're going to stand here shoulder to shoulder, I may as well do the same thing Iran does and whack away at the liver.
Barkley starting to push him into the corners now.
No low blow warning from Richard Steele. Barkley has begun to land several to the hip area of James Toney.
That's right.
Chopping rights inside. 3 of them landed. And Richard Steele wants Barkley to come to his corner so that his glove can be retaped.
This helps Toney because he's taking a well-earned breather here. He should be sucking in as much oxygen as he can right now, not just stand there.
But Toney has shown so far that his claim that he could be more active at 168 than he was at 160 is true.
Toney's connecting nearly half of his punches in this round, 18 of 43 so far. Barkley didn't get a chance to dab at the blood streaming from his nose while he got that glove rewrapped. Toney with the jab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them. Barkley jabs back. Toney knocks the mouthpiece out again, this time with a short left hook.
You can train him and join me in the lazy left hand he's got.
Harold Letterman, how do you score the bout so far?
Jim, 4 rounds to none, 40 to 36, James Toney. I think he's just winning this fight on clean punching. You know, we score on clean punching, effective, aggressive, ownership, and defense. James Toney is winning this basically on the clean punching.
Pick it up now. Get tired.
Any arguments, ladies and gentlemen?
If he's losing it all, it's because he's being hit with the punches below the belt and on the hip that may have some effect if the fight goes to the 10th and 11th round.
Now you're going to see the 3 right hands that Toney landed toward the end of the round. 1, 2, 3. And Barkley out of that round laughing. Whew.
Well, that's Iran. He loves to rumble. At the time at which, or at the age, I should say, at which Toney was playing high school football, Iran was in a life and death street gang in the Bronx named the Black Spades.
Pull it back.
The thing about being a fighter, you got no gang. You got to do it all by yourself.
Toney with another splendid right in there.
Toney is real effective when Barkley throws that hook. He's get underneath it. Takes a lot of, and it discourages a fighter when you go underneath his left hook.
Barkley chases Toney to land one relatively light left hook. And starts punching away to the hip joint again.
That can really be a young fighter because he'll let you hit him not knowing what you're doing to him.
Well, elaborate on that, George, because to the average guy, it might not look as though those punches mean anything.
Yeah, you go to your corner and you can barely sit down on your stool because your hip is sore and you don't know what's going on.
Let's work.
Because you're not hurt on top, you're not suspicious. This is a job for a referee now.
Probably too many referees let guys get away with it.
Richard Steele is looking up high and he hasn't glanced down yet.
He's looking for
He's said
headbutts.
once. Keep him up. He's only said it once.
Yeah, but he's watching for headbutts, which is another frequent occurrence in Barkley's fights because of his style.
He's admonished once to keep him up, but that's not enough. He should pull this guy up and say, we're not going to have it.
Double right inside by Toney. Bang, bang. Saw the blood fly from Barkley's head.
About Toney, he weighed in at 168, but by dinner time that day, he was back up to 173. You can believe it. You don't want a guy that big leaning on you.
Let's work.
Well, I'm sure both of them weighed 168 by the time they came in here tonight.
No, I mean,
Yeah, I know you
Barkley
mean
was
Iran.
up. Iran Barkley must have went back up to 173 or 175 because you can't have a man leaning on you. The same left hook that dropped Tommy Hearns, Barkley is starting to find range for.
Your hands are free. Work. There you go.
Now, you're telling me, George, that despite the punch-by-punch domination we've seen early from James Toney, Barkley is getting enough here and there to maybe set something up for later on.
That's right. Those body punches is helping him. He's not skillful. He's not known to win on points anyway. So why not just keep hitting on the punch, catch this guy leaning, and grab him.
Toney walks away after once again landing a flurry inside. Blood streaming from Barkley's nose, and Iran, the warrior, continues to chase James to the ropes.
It's the old saying, you don't pull a switchblade on an elephant. And sometimes those good shots may look like they hurt, but this big hurt.
Well, this is a primitive game, and Barkley is a primitive fighter. But the man with the skill is dominating him now.
All we got to do is keep doing what we're doing. Double hook out. That's the punch to get us out. So double left hook. All right? He's okay now. That's good. He's okay. He's all right now. Double left hook. Double left hook. Okay. He's double left hook. Double left hook. You just hit him with the muscle. Right. That's all. And when he starts rolling like that, turn it, go underneath. Right. You got to bend your legs and go underneath. That's all. It's coming. It's coming. He's getting tired, champ. You got to roll and go underneath. That's what you got to do, champ. That's all. Need a drink? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Suck it up, baby. Come on, baby. Suck it up. Show him what you made out of. Show him what you made out of, baby. Show him what you made out of. Seconds out. I got it, baby. Don't worry about it. We got it. Show him.
At George Foreman, when we saw Barkley spit blood there, you got the impression that he's probably swallowing a good deal of it during the rounds. How much will that bother him?
I do believe, but this guy's accustomed to being in this kind of trouble. He probably gets it in the gym, so he's not out of tune with it. He doesn't mind right now.
Does he notice it?
Oh, he doesn't even care. His corner told Toney Rose to go underneath. He keeps going on top.
Toney with magnificent hand speed. You won't often see that kind of flurry at 168 pounds. Although now, of course, Michael Nunn has a 168-pound championship.
Come on, let's work.
Yes, but, you know, somebody with Barkley's mentality thinks, I've been hit all those punches, now I got him where I want him.
Yep.
That's just the way a fighter like Barkley thinks.
He freely acknowledged yesterday that he would never expect to win a fight like this on points. He's here to try to score a knockout. So losing rounds doesn't much bother Iran Barkley.
And as far as I'm concerned, this guy, Toney, should sit around and coach for a round now. Regroup, suck up his energy, and go for the 7th, go for the 8th, 9th, and 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Well, at what point, if you're in Toney's corner, do you tell your man to try to stay away from some of these inside confrontations and get a little bit farther away?
I think that Toney is real skillful. He knows the coach. I don't think his corner is even aware of the need to coach with such a big guy like this. The corner's never had him in with a guy this big in a fight of this stature. But you got to coach that sometimes. You're not going to get a knockout like that. Win the fight.
Barkley sticking to his game plan with dogged determination. Keeps his head on Toney's shoulder, leans his body in on him.
Watch your shoulder.
And George, you've referred several times as Toney lands 2 more uppercuts in there and stuns Iran Barkley. Stuns Barkley with a minute to go in round 6.
But this is not the kind of opponent the 6th round. This is the round he should have been coasting. Not to his advantage to mix it up with him now.
And Barkley coming back, and I was about to say, you've referred several times to Iran leaning on James. It's going to help to tire Toney out, right?
That's right. Barkley has got to be winning somewhere near 175 pounds. That big head on your chest like that, don't push him. It's going to wear you out.
Leans on James. He's pushing his legs down on the canvas all the time.
So he's following somebody's plan.
There's a left hook that landed for Barkley. Larry?
Well, I think punches wear you out also, George. And most of the good ones are being landed by Toney.
They just don't wear the big guys out like they do the smaller guys. Because sometimes you're hitting them good, and they just are accustomed to being hit harder.
He finished the round with a left to the neck and 2 solid rights for Barkley's chin. And Iran Barkley looks a little weary midway through this World Championship bout.
You don't like that? You got to keep doubling the hook out, man. You got to keep doubling the hook. Make them fight, baby. Hands up and make them fight. All right, baby. That's all you got to do. Keep them hands up and then go right to him, Jack. Make them fight. Double that left hook up. Just double it up. He's turning that way. You got to double it up. Let him reach out, Eddie. Let's go. Here we go.
Watch Toney in close.
Take your time.
He's been very, very clever. He's just 24 years old. Didn't start really boxing until he was out of high school. And he has a really good athlete's feel for what's going on in the ring. There's some kind of sensitivity to the movements of his opponent and what he can do is the mark of what I would call a natural athlete.
Good point, Larry. Almost magical the way he can bob under Barkley's head, slide to the side, and then come up with the uppercut at just the right moment. Well, in all of these punch-stat numbers that you're going to see in the closing round, you are looking at a statistical mismatch.
We're looking at a mismatch in the fight right now. Although it could turn around, what we know of what has happened, it is a mismatch.
It's been all James Toney. But Barkley is hoping that in the war of attrition, things will begin to go his way later on.
Starting to agree with Larry now. Punches take things out of you.
Remember, I said at the start of the fight that the second half of the fight could be Barkley's unless Toney did some serious damage. And Barkley does look like he's slowing up a little bit here.
Toney, for the first time, jabbed to the body. And that's hard to see a young fella do when the fight gets in beyond 6 rounds.
You can see that Barkley's left eye is badly swollen. His vision probably compromised, but some would say, well, that vision was already badly compromised.
And that Barkley's got one big left arm. That thing turns into a hook and gets you sleeping. You're going to wake up in your dressing room.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out.
Punch and get out, says Steele. He still hasn't warned Barkley for the low blows, and they are still coming with some frequency.
Barkley's from their school. It's not how you play the game. It's winning it counts.
Work inside and get out. Pull your arms back.
Sonny Liston said that.
That would be the old school, right?
Keep him up. Keep him up.
Sonny, of course, was in some of the most distinguished schools of hard knocks, George. Back before he was idol.
Walks away and turns his head like nothing has happened.
And then rains that right hand over the top. Over and under. Brilliant display of technique by James Toney.
Barkley's left eye is completely starting to shut up now. He's better go on out there and look for a knockout because that jab can really just shut him down.
Well, for 7 rounds, it has unquestionably been James Toney's most impressive performance. And all the talk about how different he'd be at 168 pounds seems to be fulfilled with his performance here tonight.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out.
Now for the first time, Barkley is hanging on and holding. He's not throwing shots.
Now, Iran Barkley has slowed down, but he's still taking uppercuts inside.
You know that if you beat even on a rock often enough, the rock is going to start to chip and break.
I've heard that said.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it through the 7th round?
Larry, 69-64, 6 rounds to 1 favor James Toney. I think James Toney's mugging him. I mean, he's beating him up. The only round I gave to Iran Barkley was round 6, when I thought James Toney sort of dogged it for 2.5, and Iran sort of took over, most of the round. But that's it. It's all Toney.
I've got a shutout for Toney so far.
All right? Wake up now. Wake up in there. Come on.
It's turning out that for Toney, Barkley is the ideal bull. That he can exhibit his skills and his poise, all of his abilities.
Well, logic told you that a skilled counterpuncher like Toney might well feast on somebody who would come to him. And
Barkley is by no means out of this picture yet.
Okay, we'll watch that, George. 7 rounds down, 5 rounds to go. Toney landed 72% of his punches in round number 7.
Punch and get out of there.
Barkley is starting forward to hold a little bit because those uppercuts are starting to hurt. He should have been doing that earlier. When you bump, hold, make sure the guy doesn't hit you.
It's getting harder and harder to figure, George, what Barkley would do to turn it around. He's not even throwing the left hook with that much frequency now.
Time. Go to Toney. Come on. Come on, you guys. Come on.
Steele trying to hurry things up as he brings Barkley to the corner. And once again, Iran must have his glove taped.
All the way around.
Yesterday, we saw
up and down,
James Toney in his room playing a computer boxing game with a friend. He was losing that game, and that's the only thing he's lost in boxing this weekend so far.
Do we begin to sneak a peek ahead to what it would be like to have James Toney in the ring with Roy Jones at 168 pounds?
Not yet. We've got a few more rounds to go.
George, hang in there.
If only we could tell Barkley to just hang in there. Barkley's starting to jab now. That should have been a weapon for him early on.
Oh, what a brilliant display of accurate power punching by James Toney.
Don't hold him.
What Toney is doing, you seldom see from a young fighter. This is something you see good veterans like a late Muhammad Ali. He just jab, right hand.
And he's an awfully experienced young fighter, George. 8 championship fights in the last 21 months. And he is showing all the benefits of the lessons he's learned against tough opponents.
He's got an opponent just fits him right down to the teeth.
Keep him up. Keep him up. Don't hold him.
Barkley goes back to whacking away at the liver while clinching James Toney. Toney takes one of his periodic rests.
Don't hold his hand.
The thing Barkley didn't look at with Toney that he did maybe with Tony Hearns. Toney's got big legs. Doesn't have real skinny legs. So these guys, you just can't hit them with one shot and drop them like you would Tony Hearns.
And when he fought Tommy Hearns, 24 years old, as James Toney is.
Sometimes the 24 years old can work a lot against you, too.
Come on. Let's go.
Not tonight.
Not tonight?
No, not tonight, George. Tonight it looks real good on James Toney. And the 32 don't look as good on Barkley. Left hooks from Toney. Barkley is stunned again. And Iran just can't defend himself against the crisp hand speed and punching inside.
The referee has been real generous not to give him a standing 8 count, but there is no standing 8 count tonight.
Plus the generosity. Another great round for Toney. Another session of target practice with spectacular punch stat statistics, no doubt yet to come.
Doctor. Laura, go to school. Take him to school. All right, baby. Okay, I need more pressure.
Talk to me too,
I'm all right, Doc. I can see the
He can see you, Doc.
He can see you, Doc. I need more pressure. Talk to me, baby. Okay, baby. Okay, I need more pressure. Give me all you got, Iran. Give me all you got.
Let me see the eye one more.
Let him see the eye. See the eye.
Able to see all right out of it?
No.
You're not seeing double out
No. I need more. I need a lot of pressure this round, Iran. Jump on him. Make him fight, baby. Make him fight. Right. Give me all you got. Give me all you got. Come on, champ. I need more pressure.
No more water on that head. I'm going in the eye now.
You need to sit down and punch, Iran. All right, let's go, baby. Let's show him what we made of. Take a drink. Take a drink. Let's go.
Through this point in the fight, I think it's safe to say that James Toney won the super middleweight championship. It is now his to lose and Barkley's to win back.
And not only that, the doctors are really taking notice to that left eye. They don't like what they see, the ringside doctor. And he's giving the referee some instructions not to let him take too much abuse on that left eye.
Don't let the graphic fool you. This is the 9th round, not the 8th. And you heard Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Barkley's trainer, asking for what would amount to one last stand.
Come on, don't hold him. Punch to get out of there. Great. Stop it.
Barkley's got a lot of heart. A little more heart than anything else at this point.
Maybe more heart than was good for him at the beginning of the evening.
That same left hook that dropped Tommy Hearns. It comes out every now and then, and a good right hand by Barkley.
Iran sticking his chin in, taking punishment, and trying to find a chance to land a haymaker.
This is what you've got to do at this point. You just can't play it safe. You're going to have to take some risks.
And now Toney is able to jab with impunity because Barkley can't even see it coming.
Once you get out, once you get out.
So James, if he wants to, can just flick the jab, pile up points, and continue to annoy Iran as Iran tries to mount the straightforward, headlong rushes that he needs to create pressure.
Good left jab. That's the kind of left jab I was talking about a middleweight needs. Toney's got an excellent left jab. Nobody about that.
Barkley flashed the left hook for a second, but missed it. Toney continues to whack away at close range.
Toney has got a lot more power at this weight.
Well, this is going to greatly improve James Toney's reputation among ringside experts, because tonight he has been everything that he always claimed he could, but seemed to fall short of being.
That same left hook just misses.
Yeah, he's missed it twice here.
This round.
Yeah, that's what I meant in this round. He's missed it a bunch on
all
the
it takes is one left hook, and believe me, we can start talking a different language by Iran Barkley.
I know, George. I know you're trying to protect my reputation
Punch to
here.
get out of there. Punch to get out.
Last 10 seconds of round number 9. Iran Barkley's blood dripping onto James Toney's back.
He's out on his feet at this point.
Yeah, trouble. Toney continues target practice through 9 rounds.
I said at the start,
boxing.
Jim, I said at the start of this fight that Toney was favored, but that all the experts I talked to liked Barkley. I must have been talking to the wrong people.
The fight is over. The doctors have decided he can take no more.
Stop the fight is over. The fight is over.
Mustafa Muhammad, once a very good light heavyweight champion, stopped the fight. He didn't want to see Iran Barkley take any more punishment.
Good for Eddie.
Good fight, man. Good fight. Good fight.
Really good for Eddie. A compassionate decision by Barkley's trainer.
Turned out to be a good friend.
Iran Barkley made $1 million tonight, probably his largest payday. I'm glad of it. We'll go on fighting. Know him, but it's questionable whether he can compete against good young fighters again with that style.
That's all. That's all. That's all. And much success. And you go do what you got to do. There you go.
In terms of real championship level contention, Iran Barkley may well have met the end of the road tonight. And you saw there the respectful hug between Toney and the man who in effect stopped Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, the former Eddie Gregory, trainer to Iran Barkley. Everybody comes up classy in the end.
I couldn't go out like that.
Well, there's nobody who has more respect for a fighter than his opponent when he's been in that kind
Take your time, relax.
of a tough foxhole warfare, George.
This guy went out and got in the best shape he could possibly get in. And you got to compliment some trainer somewhere.
The difference tonight, superior hand speed, superior counterpunching, superior boxing technique by James Toney.
Think about it.
That's what happened.
We'll take a look at the devastating final punch stat numbers, which will help to under-caption what you saw in the ring, a total mismatch. James Toney landing more than twice as many punches, in fact, almost 3 times as many punches as Iran Barkley, tripling Barkley's connect percentage, and wow. When you see a guy land 65% of his punches over the course of the bout, you have seen him with what turned out to be a tactically easy assignment. Right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Richard Steele, acting on the advice of chief physician at ringside, Dr. Flip Omansky, calls a halt to the bout. End of the 9th round, the winner by TKO victory, and now the undefeated IBF super middleweight champion of the world, James Lights Out Toney. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for
week for James Toney. 1 week ago on Saturday, his first child, daughter Jasmine Nicole, was born in Michigan. Now, after the biggest victory of his career, he'll get a chance to go home and see her. And let's go to, isn't that nice? And now let's go up to Larry Merchant, brand new father and brand new 160 world champ, James Toney.
Baby, but they can't stop guys like us. You know it, baby.
That's right.
All right.
We legends, baby. True warriors. Something that Michael Nunn and Terry Noyes don't know about.
All right, James.
James will be in too.
James, what was your conversation at the end of the fight with Iran Barkley?
He's a great warrior, you know. I just gave him his props. He's been around for a long time. You know, he fought the best and beat some of the best fighters out there. Now it's my time. I can't have to do. Hey, I showed him.
From the first seconds or minutes of the
belts, baby. I want everybody home to see these belts. Everybody back in Ann Arbor. See this? Hard work, baby. I told everybody back in Ann Arbor going through it. I told everybody out there. Michael Nunn, Nigel Benn, bring your ass. I'm ready for y'all. I ain't skipping.
James, you won the fight.
Won the fight. I'm the best. This fight is dedicated to my daughter, Jasmine. I wasn't here last week to see her birth, but I got her back for this week. It's dedicated to her, my girlfriend, Sarah, and everybody back in Ann Arbor, and Jimmy Griggs. Hey, man, my heart with your family. Hey.
James, was this an easy fight for you or a tough fight for you?
I was relaxed. I had fun in it. It was an easy fight. I had no problem.
You knew from the get-go that you were quicker and you could land combinations of it.
When Bob Bam called Jackie a couple weeks ago, we had to fight. I knew right then I was going to win the fight.
What was the only question? Was it your conditioning? Was it being able to withstand his charges?
Only person who can question my condition is you. And my power is you. You're the wise guy saying, well, my condition is this, my condition is that. Now, what's up with that?
What do you think now?
Well, it's not what I think.
Well,
we said on the air, everybody said on the air that James proved his point, that at 168 pounds, you could be more active than you were at the lighter weight.
Definitely. You say that. I want to hear you say it. That's all. Go ahead and say it.
When you watch the tape, James, you'll hear it said again on numerous occasions.
There you go. I'm the best. And I'll be, baby, come home tomorrow. Jasmine, I love you.
Were you ever hurt? Did you ever think you had hurt him?
I hurt him every time I punched him. But you know, the man's strong. He got a heart of a warrior. He's stuck in there to the very end.
What would you like to do next? Are you ever going to fight at 160 again?
No. Next, well, I got to listen about. I want to fight soon. Stay busy. Let my hands go down a little bit. Fight within this couple months. Stay busy.
Are you willing to fight Roy Jones at 168 pounds?
Don't matter. Whatever.
Is that a yes? You want to fight?
I don't take nobody.
Did you see his fight earlier against Glenn Wolf?
What fight? The man came in quick, got his money, that's it. Well, right now, is it the point right now where Roy Jones got to go out and prove himself?
Do you think this victory will finally get just due from skeptics?
Oh, definitely. Everybody out the ringside saw what I did to Iran. I took him apart, bit by bit, piece by piece. I did what I had to do.
Thank you very much, James. You fought an outstanding fight.
George Foreman, baby.
Back to you, Jim.
Jim Lavely.
Thank you, Larry. Now, George, there's the definition of a chip on the shoulder. He has a big night. He won the fight convincingly, and he's still pissed off.
Well, he's enjoying himself. What did Larry call it? The hormonal mix-up
That's
there?
right. That's a testosterone festival the other night. Yeah.
It was a good fight. Barkley didn't lose this fight because he was old. He was outboxed, outpunched, and he lost fair and square.
So what you're saying is even 10 years ago, Iran, at his very, very best, wouldn't have had the guns to go against a guy like Toney
That kind
tonight.
of style with those kind of legs, he could have whipped this guy in any era, any
All right,
day.
let's see what Barkley does to Larry Merchant.
All right, Iran, what surprised you about the opponent tonight?
Well, you know, first, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the strength and the victory again. But, you know, what surprised me the most was, you know, he boxed a little, and he was willing to hang, you know. But I gave it all I had, you know, and I'm not ashamed of nothing.
Were you surprised that he was able to stay in there with you and fight longer than you expected him to be able to fight and just not be intimidated by someone as strong as you?
Well, you see, the main thing was he was breathing hard as I was heading to the body. If I could have just stayed in a little more and kept dealing what I'm dealing, I had him. I was slowing him down. You know, I kept seeing him breathing hard. I said the next round I can have him.
Were you unhappy that your trainer, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, decided that you enough punishment for the night?
No, I wasn't sad. You know, Eddie had my best interest, you know. What can I say? Tony, you know, he won tonight. Eddie said that, hey, we can come back another day and get him. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, don't worry about it, baby. I said, Eddie, I want to go. He said, nah, man. To my best of my ability, you know, hey, you my man. So you got to stop, man. You gave it all you had. And you can do it, you know?
Well, if we know you, you'll be back.
Well, I'm just going to take a rest.
Back to you guys at ringside.
Well, all right. You can't say enough about Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. You made a whale of a point before the fight when you said that all of Barkley's bravado and the mean-spiritedness may have been more a show than reality.
That's right. It reminded me of the days when I went through my first graveyard visit in the nighttime. I'm not scared. Boy, was I scared. So sometimes it's not needed for a good veteran to boast at all. Just go out there and do it.
So it was natural coming from Toney, but not from Barkley in this
More
instance.
natural from Toney, but the veterans, they don't have to do that.
All right. The man who stopped the fight, in effect, at the suggestion of Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, was Nevada Commission Dr. Flip Omansky, and he's with Larry Merchant right now.
All right, Doctor, were you going to stop this fight if the corner of champion hadn't decided to stop it first?
I talked to Eddie after the prior round and told him that it was going to be stopped so that it wouldn't be a problem. He knew it was something that we talked about during the round. Iran was at the point where he wasn't protecting himself, was taking too many head blows. The eye never completely closed, but he was no longer protecting himself. He'd taken enough.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hermansky. All right, Jim.
All right, so we look ahead down the road with two fighters tonight having greatly polished their credentials for future action. Jones at 160, Toney up at 168. Now, Toney mentioned some of his potential opponents at 168. Michael Nunn, a man he's already knocked out as a middleweight back at 160. Nunn certainly has the technical skills to punch with him, but maybe not the power to fight with James Toney.
Nunn has Angelo Dundee this time, who he will listen to. So if I was him, I wouldn't go looking for Michael Nunn. Not to say he can't whip him, but at this point, you don't want that skillful of a fighter because he will move and hit you back quicker.
That's a very tough fight for him. He also mentioned Nigel Benn. Benn is another warrior like Barkley. Might be a great match for Toney.
Barkley is something to see, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, and Benn's another guy who comes straight at you. And Toney would have all the same tactical advantages against Nigel Benn that he had against Barkley tonight, right?
If my boys weren't named George, I'd name them
Nigel.
Toney.
I got you. All right. Well, you can name him anything you want, George, as you've already proven that. Larry Merchant, your final thoughts on both fights in which we have two fighters, Jones and Toney, who have greatly polished their credentials for action down the road.
Well, my thoughts during these fights was Stacey Stengel once said how great the youth of America was. And it was just too much youth, too much ambition, too much need on the part of young people to move on and upward and to establish themselves for what they really want as prize fighters, as athletes, and as performers. And that's for the recognition from everybody, from the experts, from the fans, that they are someone special. This was the most special performance by James Toney since he knocked out Michael Nunn with one punch less than 2 years ago. It's odd that he hasn't gotten more recognition. Perhaps it was inevitable in the kind of fights he fought, but he showed tonight that he is indeed one of those athletes who performs up or just a little beyond the level of his opponents, and I don't think he will ever be estimated again. As for Roy Jones, nobody like a Toney has hit him on the jaw yet, which is the true mark of a champion. Maybe Toney will get his chance. Maybe Jones will get his chance. Hopefully it will be against each other.
Yep, Roy Jones and James Toney, two 24-year-olds who were the stars of the evening. When they meet each other down the road, not if, but when, will probably be determined by the question if Roy Jones wants to win a 160-pound middleweight championship before he goes up to 168 pounds. He may, in fact, wind up fighting for the 160-pound belt that Toney is vacating to stay at 168, the one governed by the IBF. And to win that title, Roy Jones would probably have to beat a fighter named Bernard Hopkins. Then he can move up anytime he wants, ultimately probably to meet James Toney at 168 pounds. So We enjoyed watching these two fights tonight. Hope you enjoyed them with us after the disappointment of last week's heavyweight bout. Now let's look ahead to our next World Championship fight on HBO.
On March 6th, the boxing brawl with Fight of the Year written all over it is only coming to HBO. Two great champions finally step into the ring. Southpaw Pernell Whitaker steps up in weight in an attempt to capture the title from WBC World Champion Buddy McGirt in a scheduled 12-round pound fest. It's everything you'd expect from World Championship Boxing. McGirt versus Whitaker, Madison Square Garden. Live, Saturday, March 6th, only on HBO. What's the champ say?
Just you wait.
Back live at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, where earlier this evening, middleweight prodigy Roy Jones scored the 21st consecutive victory, the 20th by KO, a knockout at 2:23 of the first round, as referee Toby Gibson stopped the fight, protecting Glenn Wolfe, a fighter who before tonight had never seen a stoppage or a knockout in any of his fights against him. And then James Toney at the end of the 9th round gets a TKO when the fight is stopped to protect Barkley from taking any more punishment. In what was a one-sided battle, Toney with superior technique and counterpunching skill beating Barkley every step of the way. Stay tuned immediately following tonight's boxing coverage for Real Sex 5 on the East Coast and Free Jack on the West Coast. And now for Larry Merchant and George Foreman and Harold Letterman, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Las Vegas. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Ross Greenberg. Tonight's telecast was produced by Michael J. Whalen and directed by Mark Payton. The associate producers were Dave Harmon and Kirby Bradley. The features producers were Kendall Reed and Brian Brown. Assistants to the producer, David Leapson, Adam Berger, Artie Curry, and Brian Lilly. The production manager was John McCallie. The technical supervisor was Bob Hunter. Presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
On March 6th, the boxing brawl with Fight of the Year written all over it is only coming to HBO. Two great champions finally step into the ring. Southpaw Whitaker steps up in weight in an attempt to capture the title from WBC welterweight champion Buddy McGirt in a scheduled 12-round pound fest. It's everything you'd expect from World Championship Boxing. McGirt versus Whitaker, Madison Square Garden. Live, Saturday, March 6th, only on HBO. What's the champ say?
Just you wait.
Next.